Across the northern border, trucks packed with fresh U.S. tomatoes are sitting idle, denied entry into Canada. Crates of produce are left rotting under the hot sun, while California's once busy fields now look abandoned, echoing the silence of a trade deal gone wrong. A sudden Canadian decision to ban U.S. tomato imports has shaken American farmers to their core. What was once a $340 million annual trade flow has collapsed almost overnight, leaving thousands of jobs and livelihoods hanging in the balance. But this crisis is not just about one crop. It is a signal of shifting power in global agriculture. As U.S. farmers watch their hard work wither, Mexico has stepped forward and secured a record-breaking $12 billion agricultural agreement with Europe, a move that positions it as the new heavyweight in the tomato trade. Could this rejection by Canada mark the beginning of a broader collapse in America's agricultural exports? And as Mexico rises on the global stage, is the U.S. watching its dominance in food production slip away? Before diving into the full story, don't forget to subscribe to the African Web and hit the bell icon so you never miss updates on how global events are reshaping economies, politics, and societies. The crisis began when the Canadian Food Inspection Agency announced a sweeping ban on U.S. tomato imports. Officially, the explanation was about quality control and pesticide residues. But the real story runs deeper. Just weeks before the ban, Canada had quietly signed a $180 million deal to boost its own domestic greenhouse operations in British Columbia and Ontario. That investment conveniently matched the exact supply it had been importing from California. In other words, Canada didn't stop buying because U.S. tomatoes were unsafe. It stopped because it no longer needed them. The result was devastating. In an instant, $340 million in annual exports vanished, along with decades of market trust. While American farmers were reeling from the Canadian rejection, Mexico seized the moment. In record time, it signed a massive $12 billion agreement with European investors eager for stable agricultural supply chains. This wasn't just a normal farming expansion. Billions went into state-of-the-art hydroponic greenhouses, advanced transport systems, and workforce training. Within months, Mexico was producing tomatoes that used 40% less water and cost less to ship. By the time the first shipments hit European supermarkets, Mexican tomatoes were already undercutting U.S. prices by 23%. Timing was everything, and Mexico managed to position itself as the reliable alternative exactly when America was losing ground. The collapse didn't stop at the farm gates. In California, towns like Watsonville, processing plants employing hundreds shut down. Trucking companies cut staff to skeleton crews, fertilizer suppliers, equipment repair shops, and even small diners where truckers once gathered saw their businesses dry up. Local schools lost students as families were forced to move, and rural hospitals, already struggling, cut back services as their patient base shrank. This is the hidden domino effect of agricultural decline. When farm revenue disappears, entire communities collapse with it. But this crisis is more than an economic issue. It's a shift in power. Food has become a weapon of influence, just like energy or technology, shaping alliances and trade routes. For decades, the U.S. dominated agricultural exports because it was seen as reliable, efficient, and politically stable. That image gave Washington leverage in negotiations far beyond farming. It was a silent tool of diplomacy. Now, that reputation is slipping. Canada's ban and Mexico's new partnerships show how quickly allies and trading partners are diversifying away from America. Even the European Union, burned by past reliance on single suppliers like Russia for energy, now views Mexico as a safer long-term bet for food imports. The message is clear. Food security is national security, and the U.S. is no longer the undisputed leader. Another layer of this story is innovation. Mexico's new facilities are not just bigger, they're smarter. With climate-controlled systems, sensors that track plant health in real time, and harvesting automation, they are producing higher yields with fewer resources. In contrast, American farms remain stuck with aging equipment and heavy debt, making modernization almost impossible. Labor is also shifting. Workers who once came to California. Fields are now staying in Mexico, where jobs in modern greenhouses pay more and offer year-round stability. It creates a cycle. Fewer workers in the U.S. mean higher costs, which makes American products less competitive, which in turn drives even more workers away. For now, most Americans only notice one thing: higher supermarket prices. Fresh tomatoes already cost 31% more since the Canadian ban began, and other produce is slowly following the same path. But the bigger impact is hidden beneath those price tags. The U.S., once the unquestioned supplier of food to the world, is now increasingly dependent on imports just to keep grocery shelves stocked. Consumers who once proudly insisted on "Buy American" are beginning to accept Mexican alternatives, not out of preference, but because they're cheaper and consistently available. Over time, this quiet shift in habits could weaken U.S. agriculture permanently, eroding not just farm incomes, but also the cultural loyalty to domestic produce that sustained American farmers for generations. At the very moment when farmers needed leadership the most, Washington has been painfully slow to act. 6 months into the crisis, policymakers are still holding hearings, pointing fingers, and ordering studies instead of delivering real solutions. Existing programs like crop insurance don't cover trade losses, and subsidies offer little relief when there's no market left to sell into. While American leaders debate, Canada and Mexico are moving forward decisively with long-term strategies that treat U.S. decline as inevitable. Each day of hesitation not only deepens the damage at home, but also strengthens their foothold in the global agricultural market, making it harder for America to ever reclaim its former dominance. Behind the statistics, spikes in bankruptcies, loan defaults, and unemployment, are families losing farms they've held for generations. Once profitable operations have been pushed into foreclosure simply because markets disappeared overnight. And if tomatoes can be toppled this quickly, what happens when similar pressures hit wheat, soybeans, or corn? That is the real danger. The collapse of tomatoes may just be the first domino in a much larger agricultural crisis. A ban that seemed like a single policy decision now raises a deeper question. Has America's era of agricultural dominance begun to unravel? Could this be the moment when other nations seize the chance to step into the role America once held as the breadbasket of the world? The future of food security, trade, and global influence may depend on how the U.S. responds. Do you think America can recover its agricultural strength? Or has the shift in global food power already become permanent? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the African Web for more deep dives into how global events are reshaping the future of nations.